Trying to turn in multiple situations here. The link that I'm going to put in the bottom of this in the description after the video is done is a video link to Logan and Shaina, two witnesses about that man. The interview took place in Hood River, Oregon, over a year ago. Logan and Shaina were lied to by the police there. They couldn't remember which officer, couldn't remember his name. And I didn't know his name. I didn't know who they talked to. But the sheriff's department and the police department talked to them together. Which means they conspired together to do this. Together they inferred things that were immoral. They tried to insinuate things that were not true in order to get either the old guy or Logan or Shaina to claim that I did something that hadn't been done. Anyone could look in my vehicle. I recorded the situation. Okay? What I didn't record was what the cops said to those people. Logan and Shaina were the people who prevented James Murphy from assaulting me in the McDonald's. One thing about beards, if you don't pull them down off your face, they'll tickle you everywhere. Now, I'm also going to post up, hopefully, a couple of videos as soon as I wake up. I'm going to make a video about the inappropriate actions. I'm going to post up, first of all, when they came and served me with a protection order because I was posting the truth. I'm being fucking stalked. Logan and Shaina, the link to their video, that's just one piece of it. There's a lot of conversations with Logan and Shaina and I. There's also quite a bit about the threats and harassment and intimidation I had to deal with there. I got a lot of recordings about how afraid they were to turn it in and why. They didn't want to fucking get in trouble. They knew to be afraid of that old guy, but they didn't want to turn him in. They were there the night that Danny put his foot through the window. They walked the other way. That's what they did. I called 911 to make sure that Daniel didn't bleed to death. The hospital staff told me that I saved his life. EMTs told me I saved his life.
Turn right
the officers told me I saved his leg.
Take the next left onto Pacific Avenue, then turn left onto 5th Street.
I walked part of his route, and that's on my YouTube too. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of bloody foot marks recorded on my YouTube, all came from Danny.
Turn left onto 5th Street.
Danny is schizophrenic, and he was there with me the day the two punks decided to retaliate against me after threatening to kill me. I was able to get their names. I did record the situations and who it was, and the cops didn't care. And the hospitals didn't follow protocol. And the lady at the hospital sent me to turn it in, well, she wanted to play fucking head games, so I had to try to turn her in. One of the people that worked for her was Marcus Ibarra. They looked at my hospital stuff and said, well, there's something fishy going on here. I also tried to turn in the situation with Jamie. The video Jamie again. When that man punches Jamie in the back of the head and then claims he killed a man in prison.
Then turn right onto 2nd Street.
And he's trying to run that yard like a prison yard. This is a church parking lot in the Dalles, Oregon. When I said this happened over multiple jurisdictions, I wasn't fucking kidding. When I said there's a lot of witnesses, I wasn't fucking kidding. I got Dallas Palmer recorded. I got multitudes of his friends recorded. I got screenshots of the things that they were saying to me and typing at me. They were typing at me while I was talking to the officer. Yeah, telling me they were in the same parking lot as me and that they had a gun pointed at my head, that they had a sniper rifle and stuff. Well, it turned out only part of that was true. They were in the parking lot. They absolutely were in the parking lot. Now there's a fog bank off to my right, and these things just blow across the road here, all scary like, nilly-willy. So I am driving below the speed limit by about 5 miles an hour. There's more videos to this as well. There's also the way that I was treated by the police in Hood River, and then how they treated me when I protested. I recorded my journey there, same as here. Places where I wasn't able to. I'm sorry for that. I was dealing with some people who were hurting kids. Protecting kids is more fucking important, goddammit. God, my legs were fucking shaking like a leaf. I'm fucking scared shitless because, well, I know how the game works. Chapel, Nebraska is a KKK town. Tillamookkk, Oregon is a KKK town. Boulder, Colorado is a quote-unquote liberal city in the middle of a red state. I've been down here since I'm in this parking lot. I might as well prevent property damage. When it's not preventable because there's too much of them, they're youngins, and they don't give a fuck about the law. They don't give a fuck about respect. What they give a fuck about is frilling their feathers and showing how big they are. Look how virile I am. Repeatedly, they called me over to hate me and harass me and to bully me and to play games with the N-word because they knew I didn't like it. Same thing happened in Chapel, Nebraska, just so you know. But in Chapel, Nebraska, I didn't have the ability to record it. When I mentioned that the term mentally ill is worse than calling someone the N-word, I said that to Dr. Caroline on her YouTube channel. She didn't think that was true. Well, statistically, you're fucking full of shit, Dr. Caroline. 24% of those who were killed by police last year were black. That is up from 2019, when it was only 22%. So police killing black people is on the rise. However, there's a lot of black people right now who are feeling very liberal about killing people. A woman who's in the Peace Corps, served time in Africa, in the Middle East, in the Peace Corps, was shot in the head for saying all lives matter. There's about 60 million disabled people in the United States in 2019, and about 60 million black people in the United States in 2019. There was about 500,000 homeless people in 2019. 49% of those killed by police in 2019 were homeless. 61% of those killed in 2022 were homeless. 61%, that's a 22% increase. Not a 2% increase, a 22% increase. Homeless people are the only people whose rights you can fight for when it comes to equality. Poor people have no rights, and the more poor you are, the easier you are to victimize, and everyone knows it. The police outright lied to Logan Bishop. They outright lied to Shaina. They outright lied to James Murphy. James Murphy talked nice to me, sort of, before that. But I could tell he was a used car salesman. Now, as soon as the cops pulled all that stuff, because some other guy who was having a mental breakdown, who was soaking wet, I gave him clothes and rolled him a cigarette. All right? That's what I did. There was no room in my passenger seat for somebody to sit in my car and do drugs with me. I gave him a cigarette. I gave Logan a cigarette too. Does that mean that Logan Bishop and I were friends because I gave him a cigarette? Does it mean that Logan Bishop was in the vehicle doing drugs, and a vehicle that it's obvious there was no room for anybody but me to be in it? Cops there, same as here, didn't think they had to do their job for a hobo. Thought they just could roll me on like everywhere else. No, systemic abuse is a fucking crime. And in the way that you have utilized it, it is a heinous crime. That means it falls into the same category as rape and murder, you dumbasses. Do you officers not use your fucking heads before you go ass raping homeless people? How many of you have gone to prison for this? How many of your ranks have gone to prison for this? Then there was a teacher here, of course, Tillamookkk, Oregon. She served 6 hours in jail for having sex with an underage kid. I've met her. She's super nice, too. Officers who committed felonies against me in Natalie's death worked together across multiple jurisdictions in order to commit felonies against me and try to frame me for crimes that were not committed, and to try to prevent me from turning in the criminals who had, including the very officers that I was sent to investigate themselves. Now, this situation with James Murphy, if it wasn't for being given the protection order less than a week ago, I wouldn't even know his name. Now, the recording with Officer Martinez, and Monica at Tides of Change shows that I did, in fact and indeed, have to bully them into getting the cops there. Absolutely, I did. I was tired of being bullied into everything else except what was important. We need to stop the abuse. We have to stop the abuse, which means taking me out of the unsafe environment, which is the entire world right now. Anyone who has internet access is probably not liking me if they know who I am. And yes, all over the world, people with internet access have listened to the story in English. They've listened to it in the story told in their own language. All of them telling a different story. Why don't you look up the name Natalie Bollinger? Go through and look at how many are in foreign languages, and keep in mind that your search engine isn't going to show you all of them. I've had to collect them over time to show how many there are. Natalie Bollinger was not my victim, I was hers. She didn't like that I told the truth. Well, I didn't like that she was fucking doing that harmful shit. People don't like that I record them doing wrong shit. They don't like that I record them and show that I told the truth with those recordings. There's a lot of people who said, hey, Sean, I'll help you, I'll help you, I'll help you, before Natalie was killed. They just never did. They just fucking took advantage of me. And after Natalie was killed, they promised to help. They promised to help me turn it in, as long as I didn't tell the public their names. Like, hey, Sean, I love you and I'm going to help you turn it in, but I want to keep my name out of public. But then they kept commenting on their profiles. Lilithu Sophia Krishnadas. Because she kept on typing, people knew who she was. Miss Peaches. And she didn't want me to say that. I was calling her Miss Peaches on my channel. But her account on Facebook is Lilithu Sophia Krishnadas, and her real name is Kayla Trujillo. And she's recorded multiple times on my channel talking about, well, I had to rescue people. Places that I was at that promised to help. Like Todd Ryan cases. He was so fucked up on fucking drugs and so abusive to his girlfriend. I had to stop what I was doing. And I had to try to get somebody else's help. I had to get Kayla Trujillo's help in getting Chloe Pachova safe. Thank goodness Miss Peaches was friends with Chloe Pachova's sister, and she got a hold of Chloe's sister, and her sister came and rescued her. I've been through fucking hell. And I'm still going through it. That quote-unquote mentally ill tag, I told you what they were trying to do. They were trying to insinuate that I was schizophrenic. When that didn't work and they couldn't get a doctor to diagnose me as fucking schizophrenic, because those doctors didn't want to get in fucking trouble, they changed their tactics and just started outright claiming that I was schizophrenic to the hospitals. And to some of their surprise, the hospitals actually wrote it down, but not to my surprise, and not to any of the cops in Boulder County's surprise. They knew exactly what the fuck they were doing. It was premeditated and coordinated, and it took a lot of gaslighting to make it happen. They thought for surely that they'd get me to actually threaten somebody's life a lot sooner. Because see, I didn't threaten anybody's life before Natalie was killed. Anyone's. But they claimed that I was threatening to kill them and their family. Really, where is the fucking evidence of that? Where? There is zero fucking evidence. Not one goddamn shred of evidence. Not one. Do you know why? Because it didn't fucking happen, stupid. James Murphy stalked me here. I had to flee here to go somewhere else. That's what everybody says. Just go somewhere else. Most of the fucking nut jobs here, they're just tweakers. Most of the stalkers here are just tweakers. They're going to try to avoid me because they don't want to get in trouble because they're fucking tweakers. But James Murphy has a whole routine down. And I've recorded his routine. I'm sick of it. He stalked me through Tillamookkk National Forest. Now here's the thing, I get yelled at for posting everything public and on YouTube now. But you can take a look at the situation with the Rawlins Police Department on my channel. You can see why I try to record it live. Because if it's not recorded live, then they can take away your recordings. And they can lock them away. And they can force you to claim that you're guilty of crimes that you weren't guilty of. Just because you need that evidence back. Meanwhile, the whole time that they have that evidence and hold it over your head, they hold it as ransom, as hostage. You will plead guilty to crimes you did not commit in exchange to get the evidence back that shows that you did not commit those crimes. How fucked up is that? Even my public pretenders tried only getting a hold of me in ways that they knew they couldn't reach me. When I let them know they wouldn't be able to reach me by phone, they could only reach me by email. It was, oh, well, I can't do it by email. When I told them that I didn't have a mailbox, then they started sending it by mailbox. When I told them my phone didn't work, that's when they started calling my phone. Told me that they couldn't do it one way because they had to do it another, and back and forth, always changing the rules. Whatever it is that makes it okay for them to do it the wrong way, knowingly, willingly, and intentionally. Because Rawlins, Wyoming is another one of those little racist KKK towns. This ain't my first goddamn rodeo. And Rawlins, Wyoming, just like everywhere else. Just like with Dallas Richmond and Harley Richmond. Even though she was the abuser and she was busted red-handed, they dropped the charges against her. You know why they dropped the charges against her? Man, she don't fucking like me. I told on her. On my channel. And then her excuse is, oh, well, you don't know what's gone on between me and Dallas. I'm going to tell you what. If you come over to Dallas's, and Dallas did something to you 2 years ago, and you're coming over and whining and pining because he won't take you back, and when you get done whining and pining and that doesn't work, you start yelling and screaming and hitting and throwing shit. And I'm stuck there having to witness it. I don't give a fuck about what he did 2 years ago. Look at what you're doing now. You're fucking stalking him and getting violent when he tells you no. Harley Richmond. There's a recording with Garcia 11 months ago when I first went to him about this guy. He had a different license plate. James Murphy had a different license plate 11 months ago. Officer Martinez also claimed that he was looking for somebody by that description. He claimed a lot of things that I recorded at Tides of Change. You can hear Monica's voice. You can hear his voice. There's also what happened afterwards, where Monica went out of her way to make sure to only do things in a way that I was not capable. If she can do it over the phone from a room, something that I could do myself if I had that room, and she wants to do it over the phone with me, and I don't have the access that I had in that room. I'm stuck out here where people are harming me frequently and often. They do harmful things, and I record them. And then they get angry that I recorded them and they retaliate. I've got call after call after call with 911 dispatch where they play victim and bully me because I'm trying to turn in crimes committed against me. And I'm trying to explain the situation without being talked over and bullied. You know what was missing out of that equation? It shouldn't have just been Martinez. Someone from Adult Protective Services needed to fucking be there with us. With us. Instead of what they usually do. Nearly always, the cops will tell you to get a hold of mental health. You go to mental health, they tell you to go to the cops. Back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. Meanwhile, people's memories are fading, relationships are breaking down, and innocent people are getting killed. So tomorrow I get to post up a couple of videos to the Tillamookkk Sheriff's Department Facebook site. Like I've been doing tonight, posting links to these videos. If they won't fucking hear it, I will force the public on their site to take an active role. Will Chappell's name, business card. Well, you get to hear in the conversations between him and I how I told him what was going on here. About how many people told me what was going on here, and they are recorded on my YouTube channel. All he had to do was go through and click something at random. That's all he had to do on my website. All he had to do on Facebook or YouTube is click on something at random. If he'd have followed the goddamn rabbit hole to its conclusion, he'd realized a lot of this stuff that he had to go through and do his own investigating on. But at least I informed him of the situation with the sheriff and the head games and the way they treat the homeless. How they play ring around the rosies and hot potato with human lives. Sending us to every service. Every one of these services, these people are getting paid. They're taking up office space and building space. Multiple buildings across this place. Dozens and dozens and dozens of employees. All making a profit off of doing absolutely goddamn nothing for us. While hate crimes are committed against us statistically at 5 times the rate of all other hate crimes combined in the United States. That's pretty prolific For 0.18% of the population. We accounted for 61% of those killed by police last year. We were killed at a rate of 2 to 1 over people in houses. That's right. The 99.82% of you who are not homeless, there are 2 homeless people killed by people in houses for every 1 person in a house who is killed. That's pretty fucking significant. Wouldn't you fucking think? Since this COVID and BLM thing started, since cops are no longer allowed to target these minorities, apparently, they're even more pissed off. So while approximately 12% of the population who are black, they account for 24% of those killed by police last year. Let me put this in perspective this way, actually. There are 346 times more chance of a homeless person being railroaded and convicted and run through the system. 346 to 1 chance over somebody in a house. A black person in Boulder County has a 5 to 1 chance, and that's only if you take into account just a portion of the year, the portion of the year that college is not in session, when most of the black folks go home. The population size of black decreases, and when you look at the number of black people who are homeless, who are incarcerated there, you realize that it is specifically black homeless people that accounts for. Because Boulder Police Department caters to black college students. Now, obviously, my ability to communicate clearly is being affected by how cold I am and how tired I am and how scared I am that when I go to sleep, if somebody comes and fucks with me again, I won't be able to get the camera recording in time to catch it. Not that it matters, I've recorded enough of it. You didn't want to be recorded? Oh, fucking well. I didn't want to be sexually harassed. I didn't want to be sexually assaulted. I didn't want to be physically assaulted. I didn't want my life threatened. I didn't want my family's lives threatened. My phones are full of evidence. My predators doing these things has cut me off from the resources that I need. And you police all have pre-prepared excuses to try to make it be the victim's fault that they were fucking victimized. No, you pieces of shit, that's not the way it is. You're gonna get to listen to the fucking asswipe coming over to me and being a fucking useless fucking shitbrick. In the link to this video, you're gonna get to listen to Logan and Shaina. You're also going to get to listen to Officer Martinez, as well as Monica at Tides of Change, when I tried to turn in Molly and tried to turn in that man who stalked me here from Hood River, James Murphy. I'm also going to post up the conversation with Officer Martinez just a few days ago when he wanted to bully me and play retarded and pretend like he didn't know any of those names that I was telling him. Well, there's multiple situations that have happened. The stuff that he was aware of, well, absolutely, he does need to fess up to it. The stuff that he wasn't aware of, because that happened later on after that, that's not my fault. Officer Martinez has harassed me on multiple occasions. He gave me gave me a speeding ticket and also no insurance. Now, I was able to get out of the no insurance, but not the speeding ticket. Meanwhile, with all of my money being spent to go around to all these services who have already refused to do their jobs as mandated reporters, what did this result in? It resulted in it being a situation where months and months and months later, it was no longer appropriate for them to call any of those mandated reporters because they had all committed felonies by that point. You should probably listen to the conversation with Dr. Danelle Boggs. So I'll post it up for you tomorrow in the Tillamookkk Sheriff's Department Facebook website, as well as the Martinez situation, the Fitzgerald situation. We'll just post the fuck out of it there. This is not the right way to do it, but I tell you what, between Monica allowing me to use that room so that I could do it myself, and her going out of her way to make it so that she gets the room and she gets to dictate what gets written down instead of me, and I have to trust her to do that when she's already shown that she can't be trusted. That's why I record everything. Y'all fucked up. You ain't put me in the ground yet, which means my big mouth is still here, and I still have more evidence to go through and post up. The reputation of Tillamookkk is forever tarnished by them youngins holding that KKK rally at the Tillamookkk Sporting Goods parking lot. Just because they were angry, they got busted. Being racist little shits. Bullying disabled adults. Not just myself.